Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MuseCast, episode 43. We have made it here. Goodbye.
And we're out. Thank you
We're
for
out.
tuning in this week's podcast, episode 43.
No, we got good stuff. What's up, man? Oh, dude, so busy. I know you're busy. It's been busy. We do have fun things to talk about, though.
We do. We both have fun things to talk about. We missed a week, so now we're going to cram 2 weeks of events and stuff into this episode, so this should be a good one.
It's going to be action-packed, guys. There's a few things I wanted to touch base on, like with AI stuff and testing and weird ways of using it. And there's also just like some general stuff that we want to talk about, what we're checking out with like philosophy and approach to life and motivation, and then just overcoming hurdles and some of the stuff that we've been, independently doing with the stuff that you're doing both artistically and possibly work-wise. And for me, mostly work-wise for the most part right now. But I wanted to start off with this one thing. This is random as shit. So, I'm not supposed to curse in the first few minutes or we get demoted.
What's done is done. Move on.
Oh, my mouse stopped working, of course. Here we go. All right. I wanted to share the screen here. We've got this thing here. So Tristan, my son, sent me this today. And this is, I hope I'm not revealing too much about my Discord account here, which I don't use that much, but I talk to Tristan a lot on. Now, this is a picture that I took. He asked me to take it. And it's just a photo. And what he did was he uploaded it to this new program. It's an AI program. I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen. And so it takes the photo, just the photo. That's all it has to work with. And then it does this to it.
What?
I don't know. Well, let's see it one more time here. So,
hey, look at the magic trick. Like.
And then it becomes a black guy. I'm like,
now, he's like a little camera gun there with his little
arm. You can see all the deficiencies in like its math there, and it gets weird and out of alignment. But what's weird about that is my first question to him was, what prompt did you type for that? And then he said that he didn't type a prompt. He just put that photo in.
Really? He just put it in. It was like no context, just put the photo in there and it did that? Wait a minute.
That's what it did.
He didn't he didn't say make a video out of this photo or nothing?
No, that's like he shared the site with me and he just did it today. I haven't gotten to go to the actual site and see what its power pitch is. But basically, he put in the picture and the goal of the site is to guess or come up with something that would happen in the photo. Right? Okay. So you saw the photo that he submitted and then it just put that together. I have no idea what it was with the switch over to a black fella.
It probably didn't register what was on his face, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't see when the video, I don't remember when the video started, what was exposed on Tristan. Like, it was
just a mask. He's wearing a gas mask.
Yeah, he's wearing a gas mask, but the hands are exposed, right?
Yes.
His hands were exposed. And
I think so. Well, let's see. Actually, he might be wearing gloves. It's taken away. He put the photo later. Oh, his hands are exposed. Yeah. Well, here's one. Here, I'm going to show you two more. They're both that quick. Okay. So here's another one. I'm going to make this full screen. This one's pretty good. Now it's not doesn't cover as much ground as that one, but this one's pretty interesting. So, So a little less going on there, but it actually looks pretty good. I mean, for a photo and giving it a little bit of animation.
Yeah, it's panning. It looks like it's revealing a little more of what's there and not like I would not, if you'd have shown me that, I would be like, oh cool, Tristan filmed himself with a fog machine with a fan, blowing the smoke behind him and all that.
Right? Isn't that pretty cool? I mean, it's pretty good. All right, one more for you, and then we'll close this thing out. I'll quit doing all this screen sharing stuff. So it's over here. Or
And then,
actually, I'm sorry, there are two more. They're both weird. You'll see weird little oddities about them. So we got this one. All right, again, just this photo. Wasn't that weird? Like his hands just
yeah,
folded out like that.
he did. Oh, yeah. But then they rested still again.
And look at that leg.
Yeah, it's
It's
well,
so weird.
it's learning how to pan. It looks real good to about here when as soon as the hands move and they flop out,
Right?
everything. And his I was watching the face in the
The face
beginning.
was I thought it was like, oh, it's nailing it. And then that weird thing happened with the hands. I don't know what instigated that. And then here's Tristan with Felix, is the last one here. And this gets a little weird. Come on, guy. Oh,
There it is.
yeah.
Oh,
Isn't that weird?
oh,
I mean, it was just, you can see what the photo was, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
It's just, this is the photo,
It's just
right?
it's adding a little bit of like normal an attempt at just normal movement, normal.
And Tristan's really I mean, it looks like, I mean, it's pretty weird. Like it's actually manipulating a full movement of his body and stuff.
Yeah, aside from with Felix, aside from the Mr. Fantastic arm stretch there,
Right?
a lot of it it doesn't look natural,
No.
but the movements look accurate to what human movements are. It doesn't look natural at all.
Right.
It looks very creepy.
It's creepy. That's the word I used in response to him.
Yeah, and Felix is not a creepy kid.
No, he doesn't. It doesn't bend that way and all that. But so the name of that site, if you guys want to try it, I think you can do 5 per day for free, and the site is lumalabs.ai, lumalabs.ai, and that will. Again, I haven't even gone to the website yet, so I'm just going to leave that alone. Check it out. But it's just interesting to be able to do that to a photo. I can't help but wonder if you put in some of your Dave's Last Night artwork that you made from ChatGPT into that and saw what animation it would add to the character.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
I just wrote it down. I'm gonna try it tonight and send it. Can you download the little things? As like what are they?
It seems like it. I mean, I don't know. Actually, yeah, I
Like,
can download it. I haven't looked at what file type it is, but it's just a small little video file. I mean, you'd be able to upload that back to Facebook
yeah,
or wherever you want to share it.
send it to the guys. You could do some weird, fun pranks with people with that.
And
But that's scary.
it's scary. It's weird. It's neat. It's also like probably in its infancy, and that's also like I don't know if there's enhancements to having a paid membership. I haven't looked at what the price model is. If it's just taking all your data and running with it, or if it's actually like sign up for a membership and then you get better tools. But you know, the AI stuff is just spreading everywhere.
It's advancing, man. It's like so
Yeah.
I'm seeing these little clips and thinking about the Will Smith eating spaghetti,
Yeah.
which was a year ago from a couple months ago, and then we talked about the newer AI videos that were coming out. The one with the astronaut, that was really good.
Hmm.
Um, and now these are the instant generated ones. I mean, I'm sure.
And from a photo, I think that's interesting. Give it something, then it spits something back based off that photo. So you're getting to manipulate your own images a little bit. So that seems to me that's more fun. That'd be more interactive. Like, oh, what other photos? Like once it got good, and you could potentially type a prompt. Because right now it's like aimless. I don't know what it's calculating to come up with this concept. But if you could type a prompt in, and it could spit out like 20-second guided, video concept from your picture, That'd be pretty cool. I mean, you could make a whole music video that way out of photos.
No, yeah. That's, that's what I was trying to do. So I'm wearing the Dave's Last Night t-shirt. And I'm glad I
Yeah.
wear it now. I was like, I'm wearing my own stuff. But Jay Daniel drew this. Artist Jay Daniel drew Dave. I sent him a photo of Dave, and this is the real life version of what AI is doing. I said, Dave, hey, I need you to take a picture, a selfie of yourself holding your guitar and a backpack, and all that. And
Yeah.
and he wasn't wearing a Fighting Giants shirt. He's just wearing a basketball jersey. I sent it to Jay Daniel, and Jay Daniel is an actual artist, and he drew him as
It's a
a
real
zombie.
person.
Yeah, a real person. He put the
Yeah.
he did it digitally. He put the Fighting Giants logo on his t-shirt, so he was wearing it and all that. He added the jizz rag and all that for the for our zombie Dave.
Nobody
But
knows that's what it is.
yeah, but it's a spider. But I tried to upload the pencil drawing of just Dave's face onto the Chat GPT image generator, and I asked it to do like what I just saw. I said, hey, can you take this image and put it in different like positions? Like, can you take this character from this image and put him on the deck of a submarine at the bottom of the ocean? And it couldn't do it. Like, it
You
couldn't.
can't do it.
Yeah, it couldn't register what the image was. It couldn't identify things. It couldn't recreate things. And I've been using ChatGPT since I got it on Christmas Day. I got a membership, and started using it. So I've been using it. It's been 7 months.
Yeah.
It's not the same program, but this is an advancement in AI itself, because there wasn't an opportunity to do this kind of stuff 7 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now there is. And that's
and one of the things that's come out since over the course of the 7 months from ChatGPT land, or OpenAI, that's the name of the company that makes all that, is Sora, which is the actual video generator, But it's actually, when I say it came out, it's not out. Actually, it's I don't think it's publicly available yet. I believe it's still just demos that have been put out and testers putting out what they can generate from it. But, ChatGPT, they did have the recent upgrade that you've been using too with 4.0. It's not ChatGPT 5. And guys, we're not going deep down the rabbit hole of AI fully, other than to mention practical stuff, like our interesting little initial testing. Like for me, if you're a musician or something and you don't have a budget and you can put photos into a program and have it generate these weird little oddities, I'm not trying to kill my own job here, but you could make a pretty fun music video to go along with your, with your studio track. It'd be pretty interesting. You could collect whatever photos and add whatever to it. I'm sure you'd come out with some interesting, neat stuff and put that all together. That'd be a cheap music video, so something to do there, practical use. Here's another practical use. I have a Fractal FM9 guitar effects pedal. It's fantastic. I am not savvy with it. There's so many aspects to it that are so neat to explore and do. And among trying to do different stuff, I screwed it up and I lost access to my scenes button. So you have 8 switches. You go into any of the 400 plus pre-made sound banks that it has of all the different guitar amps and effects and all that stuff. Well, within each one of those 400 is also 8 scenes. You have access to 8 sounds made with that combination of setup. So it's like this, you have thousands and thousands of sounds. Well, I accidentally I saved over my scenes button. So all I could do was access just the first sound of each of those banks. I couldn't get the 8 sounds within them. I've been building custom sounds. I was getting really frustrated. Hours go by. I'm losing time. I'm not getting to practice guitar. I'm getting pissed off. I'm ready to reset the whole thing to factory defaults and just lose my sounds, And I was trying ChatGPT and it was failing. I was trying YouTube and forums and it was just too specific of a problem because everything just kept saying the same thing. This is how you assign a scene button, but it was not working. I didn't know if I corrupted my system. That could be a possibility. And then I go to sleep on it. Next night I wake up, I'm planning, I'm going to just set it all to factory defaults. I look up how to do that, and it's 6 steps, and it's like a pain in the ass. I'm like, Jesus, that's going to take like an hour. And then I had this random, I'm like, let me look at the user manual online, and see what it says how to do it, if there's a quicker way to do a factory reset. I open up the user manual.
How long was the manual? How many
I want to
pages?
say I think it's like 300 pages. I'm pretty sure it's something around there. Okay. And I'm like, oh my God. I just want to practice some guitar, man. Like, this is killing me. I'm working so hard. This is my relief time. I'm supposed to get at least, I'm trying to get an hour a day as my minimum, right? And I didn't get it that night. And I'm like, I'm not getting it tonight. I can just do acoustic, but this is inevitably something I have to face the music on. I want to fix this problem. And then I was like, wait a second. Wonder if I could why don't I already did this with a legal document. I gave it my camera insurance document to look over for me and asked it questions so it could help me understand what insurance policy I was buying, what it actually covered, and that worked really well. Let me upload the whole user manual and see if ChatGPT and see if it gives me back better information if I give it the data set that is specific to the unit. I upload it within 4 questions, resolved. It knew exactly it was able to dial in exactly what I should do in my scenario because I could ask it. It was more well-informed. And then I was able to reset the buttons without resetting all my sounds, and I'm good. I started using it within minutes.
It's crazy.
So it's crazy. So it's like, it's so cool. And guys, just know that if you're playing with ChatGPT now and it's not giving you good information, if it's inaccurate because it's surfing the whole web, well, it's apparently not also downloading PDF files and reading them in their entirety.
But it's
you have to give it that.
But it's not surfing the web on the current web, right? Isn't it still?
It is. No, 4.0 is current.
4.0.
You could look up something about it that happened today and it will tell you what's happening online today.
Okay. I didn't know. I'm still kind of head buried in the sand on
Sure. I didn't realize that until recently myself. I had to ask it.
Okay. And did it tell you the truth?
Yeah, because I asked it stuff about like that current day that was going on trending, and it knew what was going on, and it's like it was right up to the minute.
My initial reaction was going to be that it wasn't connected to the internet, so it didn't have access to the user manual, and you had to put it in. But it makes sense if it's still in its infancy, where it can't go that deep to.
Well, if you think about it, any PDF ultimately exists online as a file that has to be downloaded to then read.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it'll ever cross that threshold. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not actually on the website. You have to click a link and it asks if you want to download. That makes sense. So you uploaded it. And did it take any amount of time for it to know the manual?
As long as it took like 10 seconds to upload it.
Man.
And after that, I ask it a question, and it shows. Now it's cool because it shows you what it's looking at, right? Like, so if it's referencing a website, you can see it's checking a certain website. In this case, it checked. I said, can you look at the manual that I just uploaded and tell me how to blank in this scenario? That it already knew my scenario because it's the same thread. I didn't have to re-explain what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I was like, now that you have the user manual, can you now answer this question? And then basically it did. It led me to 2 more questions to clarify, and then I was there. Within 4 questions.
Man, it's a classic science fiction becomes science reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what's going on. That's awesome. Yeah, it reminds me of there's the 2. It's a gag, and I think the first time I saw it was in the movie Short Circuit. If you remember that one, that was a great
Johnny Five.
Yeah. And then the other one was Bender from Futurama, but it's like when the robots read books, they just go.
Yeah,
and that's the whole dude. Process. It's like, well, that's exactly what's happening.
That is literally it.
That's so cool, and it saved the day. You're back to playing. It saved time. You were looking at how many hours you think lost.
Just the fact. Dude, the factory reset process that I was finding online was 6 different steps. And I was like, and I had to redo firmware and download. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to take at least an hour if I execute efficiently because it's my first time, right? Yeah. And then, you're also like, shutting things down, turning them back on, and then you have to get your windows back open. You know, just like it was a whole process of yeah. So it saved me that time, but more than that, I didn't lose my sounds either. You know, that's kind of like I don't know that I'd remember how to get the sounds dialed in that I have. That could be days, could be a week. I'd never get the same sounds back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's that that's there's a couple of different ways to think about that scenario. I mean, if initially it sucks, then after that, the time gets put in again, and then you find new sounds. And if the mindset of that situation, and it didn't happen, so you don't have to worry about it. But I know you, and I can only imagine your mindset would be, I'm not gonna try and recreate these sounds because it's impossible because you did it then in the moment. So then it's an opportunity, right, to create sounds again. And then it might not be the same, but you can't lock yourself in that state of mind where it was perfect. It was perfect.
Absolutely.
You know, it's never going to happen again.
No.
With as many, I've seen it. I've looked at that thing. It's intimidating. With as many sounds and buttons and presets and all that in there, it's like you could get lost for a long time. But,
dude,
it's a fun way to get lost in that thing. That's
yeah, yeah. And when I went to bed feeling crappy about it, I was almost more pissed off that had just not gotten to practice guitar that day, and I was under the gun on a project, and I had lost 2+ hours.
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah,
man. I was like I did not get my relief point. I didn't get my progress. I want to have progress happening on my playing, and you don't get it without playing. So I had pretty much resigned the idea, like, well, when I rebuild the sounds, it's just going to make me that much faster and better and understand how I get sounds again. I've had to do that many times with video projects, resetting back up projects, figuring out different ways to retrieve color grades, figuring out, oh my God, when you lose an edit, this is painful. And then, like, all right, now I'm going to recall what I had. It's going to be different how I put it together this time, but how fast can I put it back together? Like, I'm going to get good at this, and you just turn it into a catalyst to improve your game. But I was pretty happy with the result with ChatGPT instead, and I got to just keep all my shit and play that night. It was way better.
And that's the benefit. That's the benefit of this software, this AI that's coming out right now, in that it streamlines and it improves action time of learning and inputs. And to me, I feel like right now it's eliminating the time spent doing the busy work. The in-between stuff, reading up on something. Like, you look at the manual, it's 300 pages long, and you're like, oh, I got to search through this thing.
Totally.
It's going to be, and when you're the type of person who like manages the minutes, right? Which I know you are. You're like, oh, I don't have time for this, because it's the day's full, and now you're set back, and it's the setback. But this software makes troubleshooting easier. It makes learning easier. It makes creativity different. It's easy. It's easy, but then you can't say it's not. There's a big argument for, well, it's not creativity. It's not. You're not creating, like, but you're playing, right? You're playing, and you're using your creativity to do things. Right now, it sounds like it's kind of not because it's just like you're putting the photo with specifically with the Luma labs. It's not prompting, but is there an option to prompt and there just wasn't?
I wonder if maybe, again, I haven't looked at the website. So, guys, I would normally want to research this a little more. This happened right before I got online to be on this episode, and I wanted to share that. So we'll find out more about it. But I wonder, I would think prompting has to be a part of its future if it's not a part of its feature set now. And maybe it is a part, and you get that when you have a paid membership. I could think of a million ways this could go or be marketed. So all I know is right now, free, you can do 5 images per day. I think you give it a photo, and it literally just puts some weird stuff together and steals your data from the photo.
Yeah. Remember, if it's free,
It's
for
data.
you, you're the product.
That's right.
You
That's
are
right.
what you are, the product. But
There
but
was one more thing I just remembered, a quick mention. We used ChatGPT just the other night in talking about, we're not definitely doing this, but we want to do a vacation, maybe in a year if we can, to go to Greece and Italy, right? Like we have never gone as a family out of the country. And
yeah,
so we wanted to do this. So at the dinner table, these questions come up like, well, how much is a plane ticket? What makes sense in what order to go? Like logistically, is it cheaper to fly straight to Italy or is it cheaper to go to Greece? If we went to one, how far away are they from another?
hmm
And I pull out Chat GPT on my phone, and every question that I just said, we ask as we thought of it. And in real time, it's giving us price variable rates that average out for the last year for plane tickets to both. It says the distances. It says the best way to get from one to the next. And we figured out that if we went straight to Greece, like right there, without having to look at Google, without having to compare plane flights, without having to look at people's forms and recommendations and trying to map out distances, and it's literally just telling you. So we know right away, okay, it's around average $1,100 to $1,700 to go to Greece, and it's only $750 to $1,100 to go straight to Italy. And then from Italy, we're like, well, what? How far away is that? And it's like plane is the best way to travel. You'd want to use one of two air carriers that are available, and flights average between $39 to $69 to fly from Italy to Greece.
oh wow, because I'm sure there's just regular flights, right? That's like a
I don't know.
common flight. It's got to be,
It's
but
got to be, but
that's
20.
still
It's a
yeah,
22-hour
yeah.
drive and ferry if you go the other routes, right? We didn't have to figure. And I asked, well, what are the other options? Can we take a train, which I knew wouldn't be possible because of the sea. I wanted to see what it would provide. You can take a train and then go to the ferry, and then it's like 20 plus hours, and like no way, not with Felix.
Nope,
But to be able to
nope.
figure all that out and discuss it on the fly in the moment with the family, so we could focus on what would we want to do. We could further that by saying, what are the most notable things? Which part of Greece should we go to? Which part of. So we're looking at Rome and Athens, but I don't know that we'll get to do that. We're going to try to do that,
Well,
but it was
that.
amazing.
Here's some good old fashioned counter info for that. A counter argument for that. I know a guy recently, one of our clients with my company in my professional life, who owns a B&B in Italy. And that would be pretty rad if my buddy, he's a client, he's not my buddy,
Yeah.
but I know a person, like I actually know a guy who has a B&B in Italy that
Oh.
probably like it's in like from what I've heard, it's in like the quintessential Italian village, like
Oh, really?
small village in the hillside. Like, and
Oh.
I was talking to him, like, I want to get one. He said he bought like $75,000,
Yeah.
bought the place, the B&B, like the
Oh,
building, the
wow.
apartment or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
How cool is that? But that might be an option if you go. Like, I'll probably talk to him.
Okay.
I'll definitely talk to him in the next couple of weeks or so.
We're either going to Rome or Milan. I think we're leaning towards Rome. I think it's going to be Rome and Athens. So I don't know. But that being said, my personal taste, I want to see the cities, but I love the country. I want the woods and the country, and that sounds better to me. So I got to like,
You got to do a little bit of both. Like,
got to do both.
you got to go to the Coliseum, right?
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
go see the stuff.
Well, and then in Greece, my family, long story but basically we have an olive grove out there that's not technically mine because it got raped from us from terrible family values that happened after the passing of somebody in the last couple of years. So we all lost ownership of it, but we all apparently had a percentage of it. We're supposed to be left that. And wills and
Yeah.
how family come together in terrible ways during that. It's pretty gross.
I have
So,
a coworker actually.
oh no, your audio is you sound like a robot.
Check 1 2.
Oh, It's that thing that we had to start over before. I hope that's not going to be a.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
It's still there, man. It's weird how it just start randomly.
Well, let's see if we can fix it. Hold on.
You sound like oh, uh-oh. Hey.
Check 1 2.
You sound like Stephen Hawking. No.
Check 1 2.
Hey guys. Hey, I got the full screen now. Well, we can talk about things that are actually interesting now. Oh, never mind. Let's go back
Check
to
1
boring.
2. Check 1 2.
No, it's
Still not?
all of it.
Hey,
Yeah.
go ahead and run down your next topic. I'm just gonna do something offline real quick.
Okay, yeah, this will be interesting if you can exit and re-enter.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that.
Oh, all right, I'll carry the torch.
Carry the torch on up.
All right. So I don't know what the next topic was actually going to be. I think Dick was going to talk about some things that he's been going through with motivation. So motivation, I guess, was going to be the next topic. Dick has motivation. He's a motivated guy. I'm pretty motivated myself. And Dick's been getting into Jocko. Jocko Willink, cool guy, military guy, done all kinds of insane stuff, a lot of accomplishments. If you haven't checked out his podcast, it can be pretty interesting. He has a book called Extreme Ownership, and it's about taking responsibility. And when you take responsibility of your life and have discipline, that's actually freedom, not the barricade that you think that it would be. Hey, he's back.
Hello.
Let's see if he can talk.
Can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear you. It's just latent.
Is it latent?
It is latent. Meaning that the voice comes after I think the mouth moves after the voice. One way or the other. I got mixed up myself.
Do you hear an echo now?
I do hear an echo.
Is there latency now?
There's not latency.
No?
And there's not an echo.
Okay. So
I'm going to talk further away from the mic, guys, so you'll have to turn up your volumes so we'll match better.
All I did is I switched my audios so that's a funny thing that's been happening, right?
Tell me about it.
I've got my preamp, and you've got the same preamp now, and this is just.
But
running.
mine's not hooked up, unfortunately.
No,
I haven't even turned it on.
Yeah, this is something that only happens. I've got a preamp that the SM7 runs into a warm audio 273, out of the warm audio into a Black Lion audio 1176 compressor, and then the 1176 is running into a line in on the back of an old Digitech 003. Then the Digitech 003 is connected to my PC with an older fiber optic line. I think it's called Firewire. It's not fiber optic. It's like it's
Firewire.
Yeah,
Firewire 800 most likely.
Yeah. So they don't use Firewire. They use the Lightning ports now. Most audio interfaces do, but this is starting to be a thing that happens sometimes where for some reason it's not the gear in my setup. It's the gear communicating with this app, the StreamYard app, that for some reason, because I'm utilizing my 003 as the speaker setup on my computer. So I've got it as line 1 and 2 on the Avid 003. So basically the line out, it's considering my line out on the 003, the input source for my speakers and the output source, right? So it's input, everything's going input and output all through the same Firewire connection.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sending information and pulling information through it. And I'm kind of talking myself through this scenario, thinking about it because I hadn't given it a thought since it happened last time. But now that's happened twice, it might be worth researching with ChatGPT. In the meantime, like I'm going to ask it, since 4.0 is hooked up to current internet, I'm going to tell it that this has been happening, that I'm getting random corruption of my audio, at a certain point, and does it have anything to do with that Firewire connection? And is there another way for me to hook it up, because it should. What I would like to do is run my input in, and then just run. I don't need it running back into my audio source. I can have a separate audio source, or I can, it doesn't. I can run. Can I run two separate inputs from the computer? But who knows? But again, so let's kind of break that down. Like, what just happened, right?
Yeah.
We're on a roll. We're doing our podcast. Something happened, and it got strange for a minute, but we could have just said, well, we're done for the night. Oh, we got to start. And we did that last time because we didn't know what to do. This time, I've got I know there's a camera, this is a camera, but there's a microphone on the camera, and it works. In that kind of situation, that's the fun stuff where, it's not fun when things go wrong, but you can, this isn't
get it done.
It's not
work through it.
Yeah, it's not a high stakes thing that we're doing here. You said in the break when I was out, you said I've been listening to Jocko, and I have.
I gave him the preface on who that is, so you can just jump into what you're currently hearing from him.
Everybody should listen to Jocko at least once or twice. It's fun. I got a coworker who makes fun of me because he's like, oh yeah, he's the Navy SEAL guy, right? The guy that says you should go hard all the time, and some people shouldn't do it because they'll get hurt, and it's like, well, that's not really what he's saying, But yeah, not everybody should go hard.
To your ability.
Yeah, go hard for yourself. You're competing with yourself every day, and that's the idea that you want to be the best version of yourself that you can be, even when it sucks. And that's like Jocko's philosophy, and I love it. It's like you get up in the morning and you don't want to do, you just want to sit on, it's Saturday, you worked hard and you're sore, you worked out all week, and you just want to sit on the couch and do nothing. And that mindset on the Jocko side of the world is, no, good. It's good that you hurt. It's good that this bad stuff is happening to you. It's an opportunity. Everything's an opportunity to be a badass, kind of a mindset. And I like it. I'm not like that all the time, because I do sit down on the couch and do nothing sometimes. I love Elden Ring and play games and stuff. Yeah. But just the idea to get in your head that extra motivation comes from when you want to do something the least, turning into when the actual time you need to do it the most, pushing through it. I'm editing the Dave's Last Night album, right? And I'm on the third song, and I'm not done with the first two. But what I'm doing is it's because I don't want them all to sound different, like a different edit for each one. I'm learning how to do things, and then I'm getting them all to a point where it's very close in each song. And I'm on the third song. And on this third song last night, I went down an editing rabbit hole where I did about a 2-hour edit early in the evening yesterday, 2 or 3 hours. Did a bounce. The levels were off, but it was more of a alignment edit than anything. And I think
a bounce is an export, basically you're flattening it out to hear like a rough mix, right?
You're bouncing it down to a stereo MP3. So there's probably 20 tracks overall, and that's all the individual drum tracks. There's all the individual guitar tracks. The guitar tracks, I used a 4-mic setup here at my studio on the cab, both for Jeff and for myself. And then there's a 2-input setup for the bass. And I want to talk about the bass at some point. And then the vocals are just, for the most part, I just have one single vocal for Tim that has basically scenes stacked. They're playlists and Pro Tools. But there's something I learned recently, and shame on me, I should have known a long time ago. But every time you record an audio track in Pro Tools, you can go back to the main menu and click New Playlist. Then that track disappears. It's saved as playlist 1 or whatever. And then now you're on playlist 2. And now you just record this over the same section of time. And then you can go to playlist 3, and it stacks them in a hidden window that you can't see. But so instead of having all these takes on all these different tracks, they're all stacked here. So I have, like with Tim, I just have one track, and it has 6 different takes on it. And then it's really easy to align it. Tom Tapley taught me how to do it when we tracked our drums with him, where you can take, okay, I like the drums from here to here. They're all in a group, so everything happens the same time. They all have the same number of playlists. Okay, but I like to take 3 better in this section here. So you just highlight it, copy it, flip back over to playlist 1, hit paste, and it instantly puts it right there in the perfect spot. It's so much easier. It saves so much time.
It's a fantastic way to be able to edit, for sure.
Yeah. But that's not the rabbit hole I want to go down. But it was in those 2 hours I spent doing the alignment edit, and then I did the bounce, and then all the levels were whack. They were bad. But I realized I was having the guitars boosted way too high. Particularly, it was my guitar. I was excited because I wrote a new part that I really liked. It was the Ash part I sent you, and it was like, oh, I'm like jamming it, and then I bounced it, and in my excitement, I I want to share. I emailed it to you, and I sent it to the guys, and then I realized
the video clip or the actual mix.
The actual bounce, the actual mix.
Okay, gotcha.
So I emailed it to the guys, and I said, wait, I haven't even listened to this for playback with anything other than the monitors. I pulled it up on my phone, and you know how guitars are. If a guitar is too loud on a mono source, that's all you hear. If one thing on a mono source on your telephone, when you're listening to something back, if you've got a guitar too loud or any one thing too loud, that is all that's coming out. There's everything else is washed out. And that's what my guy, Jeff, told me. He's like, all right, listen on my phone. It sounds like crap. And one, don't listen on your phone. But, well, actually, yes. I want them to listen on their phone because mine has a blown speaker on my iPhone, and I don't have a mono playback source. So that's important. It's important to balance the mix with that idea that most people are going to listen to it on that, right? So then I went back into the edit, and then I sat down, and 6 hours I spent, and most of that was just editing small little parts on drums, and it was busy. A lot of it was busy work. That's why I put Jocko on, and I listened to Jocko and Echo Charles talk about, jujitsu and computer stuff that Jocko really didn't know what he was talking about for 6 hours. And it was just little edits, editing out empty space, making sure that, what I like to do is boost the kick drum and run a kick drum in a parallel compression, and then also a parallel volume, because I want the overall kick to have a thick sound. Then I want to have a second kick channel of the same one. And this is what I'm doing. Instead of using a sample and throwing a sample on there to boost the kick, I copy the same one and I EQ it just differently enough where it's not doing some weird phase thing. But I can automate the volume on the second one so that there's a constant, and then there's a punch. And some sections I want more, and some sections I want less. And this volume automation thing is just that was the rabbit hole I went down with the drum edit. And I started it with guitars, and then I realized I got to a point, the whole mix is too loud. Everything's I lost my headroom. I said, well, this isn't the end of the world. I'll just hit all on the session and bring all the volume down. Then, I've done all this volume automation, and I haven't seen if there's a way out of that, but I had to delete all the volume automation because I had to reset the levels, and I couldn't figure out how to lower everything while keeping volume automation, because when you have volume automation on, when you put your fader down, this is what happens. You pull it down and it goes, nah, man, I'm up here. And nah, man, I'm up here. And then you turn it off, and then you can move it down. But as soon as you turn it back on, those levels are fixed. And the only way I could think, I was like, well, I could go in and find all those levels and now drop them 3 dB. or I could just start from, and so I just started from scratch. And I was like, but I'm also still learning this, and it didn't bother me that much. I was like, well, I just did a rough pass. I'm just going to go back, and now I'm going to go back and do it again, and I'm going to try to get faster with it, because I'm in that stage where what took me 6 hours probably should have took me, if I knew exactly where I was going and I wasn't learning anything, I was just doing it. I probably could have done it in 2 hours, maybe two.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I get that down 2.5 hours, but man, the outcome at the end was so different. I mean, editing out the unused sections of drums minus the overheads and the room mics. So with the tracks we use, we've got 2 overheads, which is the cymbals, and we have 2 stereo room mics, which are back further in the room. This was in Atlanta at West End Sound. So it's the same room that Brand from Mastodon recorded the drum tracks for the entire Hushed and Grim album in the same room. So I know that these drums sound good,
Right?
Because it's in that. It's a cool room. It's like it's dark and it's concrete and different things in there. But so taking all of the overhead mics, the room mics, then there's a SM7 kind of mono mic that's in front. And then there's another one further back that's just like cranked on the input gain on the preamp, and it's just crushed. It's just like
it's another SM7.
I don't know what it was. The only one
Okay.
he saved the channel SM7, so I knew that one was an SM7. Then the other one just says mono. So it's a single mic. I'm not sure what it was, but I want all those to always have their sound the whole time. But in order, the philosophy is when you have a drum track, all your individual tracks will make it sound punchy. And then when you start adding the room mic, it starts to sound live. And it starts to sound more like Rage Against the Machine sounds live when you hear their drums on their albums, because they record it live. They're all in the same room, and that live sound is not common anymore. Where, because most bands now, and I can hear it, anybody who's done a little bit of recording can hear the processed drum sound, which is great. They always sound good, but they always sound so perfect. And in metal, quite a bit, in hard rock and metal, that you don't want that live room sound. You want just the punch sound. So I went through and I'm editing out all of the unused noise in the punch sound, all of the unused noise in between the kicks at the transients, all the unused noise in between the snare. But John has a lot of ghost notes on the snare. So then I have to really pay attention. But there's another mic that's underneath the snare and in between the kick drum that picks all that up, that I don't delete the excess noise off of. But not to go too far down the particulars of it, it's, you edit all that out, and then, if there was a program that would automatically do that and do it properly, it's just like with video editing. If there's a program that could zip through 3 hours of takes and automatically get the best ones and edit out the nonsense where you just have the parts that where it's go time, right?
But there is, and I haven't tried it, so I don't know how good it is, but they have that.
For video?
And I wouldn't be surprised if it does exist for drum cleanup.
And I bet it does. But there's plugins that do. They're like I can't think of the name. It's like an expander gate where you set it. And this is what I was doing first. This is I made the decision. I had an expander gate on each drum track, and I had the threshold set so the volume peaks at a certain level, and it cuts out everything from there underneath that level. So when the snare hits, the transient hits a certain dB and it activates, it turns on, and then you can set how long it lasts, how quick it closes. It's just like a speaker opening. Hey, it's making noise. Okay, we're done. And then everything else is out. And it initially, on face value, when I first turned it on, I was like, "Oh, this is great! I don't have to edit all this stuff out." The deeper I went, and the more articulate I tried to get with it, the more I realized I just turned them off, removed them from the session. I said, I just need to go old school and just get this the way I need it with my ears, and not rely on that easy button, because it just wasn't working.
Doesn't sound right, right?
Yeah.
It's different. It's different when you're individually making the decision to round off how something fades out or how sharp it cuts, like the nuance of that for each particular part, putting a gate across the whole thing. You have to keep it sensitive enough to cut out what you want, but before you know it, now all the ghost notes are gone. Then you make it take down your threshold, and so that way it's not taking out those ghost notes. Now it's not taking care of these over here, and now you're just battling, spending the same amount of time just trying to get a plugin to work versus just doing exactly what you want to have happen per, note and strike. And
and just going in and doing the work. And that's why I put the podcast on. And because I wasn't having to listen all the time for reference. A lot of it, once visual. You do our first bit, it's visual. Yeah. And then, but you always have to go through, like, the ghost notes got me. I did a little bit of edit and I was doing visual, and I pulled it in, and I actually saw that, okay, the ghost notes they're in the other channel. I just cut them out because they were so subtle in certain places. And then figuring out, okay, well, how can I make this audible without making it overbearing, and all the so much subtlety. I totally understand why the industry has switched over to the electronic drums and the programmed drums, because it is so much just do it and done.
Yeah.
And it's even to the point where it's it's able to be set up so it sounds like a person, so it has swing and it has play, and it's not robotically on time, but it's still not conducive for people to actually become great drummers, which I think is more important than being able to churn out exponentially more product. I think, because that's what our show's about. That's what Cue the Muses is about. It devalues it when you put out too much, right?
It does, yeah.
As a kid, I collected comic books and the comic cards, and I wondered, and I remember asking my father, man, those old baseball cards are worth so much money. Those old sports cards and the old comic books and the old comic cards, the first ones, they're worth so much money, but the new one, none of the new ones are worth anything. Is because they just put so many of them. There's no rarity to any of them, and that's what, like, human musicians are becoming. Not guitar,
and the American dollar.
Yeah,
I mean, that's called inflation. I mean, that's what it leads to. So yeah, I mean that there is something to having out, like. That's why the podcast is fun, because it gives us an opportunity to make more consistent content that's not about trying to do that in any way. But when it comes to the actual show, the actual album, it's super selective. Each one that we put out, we put everything we had into it, And then if there's side project stuff or obscure songs, or there's opportunities to make other things later. But when it comes to, like, the actual Cue the Muses franchise that it aims to be, hopefully one day, it's like that. Every one of those things, I shouldn't say franchise isn't the right word. What's the right word for our
household name?
But it's like well, it is a franchise. It'd be like Marvel Universe or whatever. So I guess that it's got to be super selective, and it's fine. If there was like 10 great works at the end of its entire existence, but every one of them was everything we could throw into it, then that's awesome. Then you could have made 30 or 40 other songs, via other means, and it doesn't mean that any of that other stuff isn't awesome. It's just that it came together in an easier way, or it was a different thing. It doesn't have to fit into the criterion that makes it the Cue the Muses thing. It's thing that it's trying to be. But everything that you're talking about the technicalities of going through that with the editing and stuff. I mean, I've only edited a handful, went full tilt on editing 4 songs that were completely personal made, you know, and in doing that, I started to go down the rabbit hole of different things that you're talking about. And it's like, if you don't do that regularly, you know, if you didn't, you do all this work and then you don't do any Pro Tools for 6 months, you'll forgot everything that you learned, and it'll come back faster, but you lose that inactivity. And so I have to relearn how to use Studio One coming up when I'm getting all the stuff set back up. But, you know, the things that you're talking about is bringing back so many memories of the little things that I was figuring out. And it's funny because something that I did learn that was a big learning lesson for me is for the first set of years that I did video production, I remember feeling the goal was to get faster. If I could get faster, then I'm going to be able to do more work. I'll make more per hour ultimately, right? Because the faster you get something done, if you're getting paid a some amount, then you made more per hour. And as I got better, I would learn how to do something else, you know, that made it better. And then I'd learn how to do something else. And before you know it, what happens is that you don't get faster. I mean, you can make something that was passable at the level that you were doing when you first started faster, but you're going to get better than that.
Yeah, it's the Parkinson's effect.
Is that what it's called? I haven't heard this term for it.
It's called. I actually just heard it on one of Jocko's shows. But
okay.
It's called the Parkinson's effect, and it's the idea that work fills the time. If you say you have, and it's I don't know all that much about it. It's a new thing to me, but work fills the time. If you have 30 minutes to do something, you know. You get a phone call, somebody's coming over, you got a house guest coming over, you got to clean the house. Okay, crap, I got a 30-minute house cleaning. It's going to be pretty decent. You know, that was an analogy to use. But like, if you've got something due and you've got 2 weeks to do it, certain people like, I'm going to sit on it for a week. Do you sit on it for a week and then do it? For my general contractor's license, okay, my general contractor's license, I made a commitment back in 2016, New Year's Eve, 2015. I had a New Year's resolution. I spoke with someone I work with, and I had a New Year's resolution by the end this year, going to get my general contractor's license, going to pass the test. What I didn't know anything about doing it, didn't know what it took, what I got to do, whatever. Like January 1, started figuring it out. It took me all year, but I didn't start right away. I had a year. And since I had a year, I had other things to do. I had work, had a bunch of stuff. It was kind of a shit year for me, but I got it done. In a year. I did get it done, but it took me a year. And it's like that effect. And now that's what the Parkinson's effect is, that the work with time. And where you're talking is, I want to learn to do this faster. Well, I learned to do it faster, but now I'm learning these other things, and you're still in the work.
You're always going to be, unless you're not trying to get better at your craft. If you're not passionate about it, and you're just trying to get something done quickly and make more money, that's fine. That's just not my personality type. So it's like the more things you learn how to do, the laundry list of things that I can do to an edit now is so beyond what I had any concept of even knowing that I'd be thinking about learning how to do when I first started. All I was thinking was you put the footage in, you make the video. I know, and now there's like, I mean, I can come up with 100 steps for a project. Do they have the budget for that? Yay or nay? That's the question, right? But it's like I'll do it as fast as what the budget is. That's really it. But I will fill the whole budget up with hard work and do all the things that I can fit in to do in the amount of time that the budget covers. But I know how to do enough that I'd love if we had significantly more money, because I could keep going, now I could keep going. I've learned every year it's the same thing. Just keep learning how to do more and more and more and more stuff. And that's how you get, it's great, but it's also the reason that Cue the Muses isn't done. Because it's because I know that there's many more things, and I'm not being a perfectionist. There's just literally, I know that there's this step, this step, this step, and this step. It's not like I'm meandering and tinkering over should it be this take or this take. That's not That's not the holdup. It's the
No, I
technical
know.
process of all the steps that are involved to do everything that I know how to do to make a polished product. That, you know,
And it makes it longer, makes it take longer because
a lot longer. Here we are years later.
you know more, and
Yeah.
you're not just cutting and putting it together. The best takes, put it together, and it's done. You've
Yeah.
learned additional skills, you've learned new avenues, and your personality type is the kind. You're not trying to. It's not that it's your baby, like you said. It's not you're not perfection. It's not your baby, and it has to be just perfect in every
Yeah,
way.
that's not the holdup.
You're pushing your envelope, saying, I've pushed my envelope and I set my own bar higher on the first chapter.
Yeah, yeah,
Even higher still on the second chapter, and your own. This is you. I mean, and I'm
Yeah.
the same way. I want
Yeah.
to top myself. This is a battle with yourself. This is
it
Ash.
is. Yeah.
Ash is gloves off with other Ash from the last edit, and you
That's
said,
what's up. I got to at least
my time.
match the level that was in the previous two. That's the minimum, you know. It gets to a point of apples and oranges, but you got to at least. But you damn sure don't want to show up with, you know, rotten fruit.
No.
You got to at least, you know, like it's got to at least be on the level.
You can't show up with one of those like gas station smoothies, you know?
No, fuck that. They're all filled with sugar.
Yeah.
I don't eat sugar.
$4.89. No, that's
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been great seeing you. I have to turn in 3 commercials tomorrow. And I think that's a really good place for us to leave off, and that, you know, that's how much effort is going into Cue the Muses, our real show. This is a real show. I like this a lot. This is fun. This is the most social time that I get. I love talking about the current topics. It's amazing how consistently every week there's new relevant conversations happening that completely coincide with the concept of what our movie is about, trying to fight an evil AI that's taking over the planet.
It's turning into real life. Science
It's
fiction
totally
is becoming science reality.
Yes, yeah. So, but anyway, guys, we're going to be back next week. We'll have some good stuff, and I'm wrapping up a lot of hard work over this next like 7-8 days, and then it's a lot of Cue the Muses editing coming up. So I'm just, you know how like when you have to go to the bathroom really bad, and you walk into the bathroom, you've needed to go for a long time. You walk into the bathroom, the second you see the toilet, it's like it wants to just come out. Like almost instantly, like the toilet triggers your mental release, right? You know, like it's like, oh, I don't even know if I can get my pants down in time now that I saw the toilet.
I do know that one.
That's what this feels like right now for me in my life, being this close to getting to work on Cue the Muses. So it's getting harder and harder to finish the work that I have to do because I'm like, I can see the toilet and I can't wait to drop a deuce.
It's coming. I'm almost there. I do.
Chapter 3, ladies and gentlemen, coming at you.
Best analogy to end episode 43.
Peace, guys.